The future is here. Virtual reality is an actual thing that exists today, right? You guys know about that. And we're going to show you how we have created a VR network building room, I think. How's it going, everyone? Ty King with American Business Engine. And of course, one of the main parts of our business is networking, growing our connections to other business pros and people that are growing their careers and getting referrals, that type of thing. If you've been in business in any amount of time, you know how important that is to you. So, we have dove into the new virtual reality trend that's going on, right? So every time a new trend pops up and we think that it's going to change how we interact with other people, we have to jump on it. We have to test it out so that you know whether this is worth it or not. And so we bought the Meta Quest 2 to try out, and I justified it by saying it was for business, right? Played a few games. If you dive into Meta Quest 2, one of the main things that Meta is trying to push is their Horizon Worlds app. This is what you see whenever Mark Zuckerberg first put up his video talking about the Metaverse, right? This is the Metaverse. It's this app that he's talking about.
And we call this the Metaverse. And you're going to be able to do almost anything you can imagine. Get together with friends and family, work, learn, play, shop, create, as well as entirely new categories that don't really fit how we think about computers or phones today.
Users are able to create worlds. I use that term loosely. Really, they're more like virtual rooms where people can come in, you can interact with each other. You can actually walk by somebody else's avatar, hear the conversations that they're having, or even engage in the conversations yourself. If you walk by and you cough, that person heard you cough. No chance of spreading COVID this time. But you can also walk up and be like, hey, I'm from this place. Who are you? This is what I do. It'd be nice to be able to make connections that easy, never have to leave the house, right? So during the pandemic, it sort of spoiled us as far as Zoom. And kind of actually it took away a lot of our soft skills. Being able to talk about yourself and your business is a muscle that you have to exercise regularly, right? Take 2 weeks off. If you're a regular networker, take 2 weeks off, go back out into the crowds, and it feels so weird. So we created a business networking world in Meta Horizons worlds. There's so many words there, right? But the Meta Horizons app. There's so many different rooms that you can go into. One of my very favorites is a British pub that you can go in, and there's a small stage where you can display your talents. You can sing, you can talk, you can tell jokes, and then you can be in the crowd. You can sit at one of the pub tables with actual a pint in your hand, and you can cheer them on. You can throw confetti. You can give them thumbs up. You can talk. You can cheer them on, and throw out song requests if you wanted to. Or you can go outside and hang out on the streets or sit at the picnic tables and talk to other people. It's really fascinating what you can do in the Horizon Worlds. I will say that it was kind of weird and off-putting to me because I'm naturally an introvert. So when I go out and network, I am actively exercising skills that I had to learn, which was small talk. Hey, how are you? Let's talk about the weather. So I hate talking about those types of things, but I know that they're the way to get into the deeper conversations that you want to have. And so it's sort of a gateway. It's sort of a trusting ground where people are, you make them, it's all psychology, right? So you're making other people feel comfortable with you by opening up with something that's obvious. So it's the same way in the metaverse. It's weird in that I try to make my avatar look like me as much as possible, right? Everybody else's avatar could look like them, could not look like them in real life. I have no idea. I've got no way of telling that whatsoever. And I've even talked to several people. They're like, I'm much bigger than this in person. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And they'll make jokes about it and laugh and say, okay, well, or I don't look like this at all. Everybody looks, even if you're 90 years old, your avatar still looks a little young because we can't yet put wrinkles on the face or anything like that. You can have gray hair or no hair at all. It happens. So it was kind of strange when I was first starting to go into these worlds. It just made me cringe on the inside because I would see other people's avatars, and like because you're so fully immersed in this 3D virtual world, it feels like you are walking past people. And so whenever you're going into one of these worlds, you're walking past these avatars that you can see in 3D form right next to you, and it feels exactly like, even though they don't look like actual people, it feels like you're walking, I would say, through the mall, right? You're a huge crowd of strangers, and you're just sort of, at first, I was like brushing past them, trying to slide around the wall so that I didn't have to accidentally bump into somebody or get called out or something, you know what I mean? So um, it's a very strange interaction at first, but I made it a point to go into some of these worlds and start engaging in conversation, start talking to people. I had a blast. Oh my god! Once I just got over the initial just weirdness of being in the metaverse, oh my god, I had so much fun. I stayed up all night in the British pub and just like listened to people's jokes and laughed along and kidding. And it was almost as natural as it is now for me to go out into, actual human world, networking. And when I engage in conversations, I know how to get people to talk to me, right? And I was doing the same thing in the VR world. I was roaming around the metaverse and like I even made a few friends that were like tagged along. It turned out some people were actually from Arkansas but were like living in Iowa or some crazy place. Um, and we really hit it off and got into some of the deeper conversations. We even talked about um, the differences in like the places where we live, but also like what are the we even of course you have to talk about the weirdness of the metaverse, but like at some point like it just sort of fades away and it's sort of a novelty because you feel like you're having conversations with these people in real life, and essentially you are. Essentially you're just on the phone with a stranger, and you're on a group call, right? And you're talking to all these people at once. And so, but there's also hand gestures. There's um, I don't even there was interactive objects, and so I was able to go outside and just take some fireworks, shoot them off in the sky, let them explode. And then of course you had, like I said, the pints that were interactive. You can basically put anything you can think of inside these worlds. One thing to think about is that Meta does monitor these worlds, so they make sure that there's nothing like super offensive, even though there are rooms that are 18 plus, right? And so 18 and up, you can go into these rooms, and that's where the conversations are happening of like, well, people are just cursing, you know what I mean? And so that's basically the worst of it. If people are being um, disrespectful, or if they are bothering somebody or harassing someone, you can be voted out of the room, and you will be voted out of the room. I saw that. And so that was something I was really surprised with. And I was like, okay, so it's sort of like anything flies here, but no, people are actually holding people accountable for their, very terrible actions, because some people see it as an opportunity to come in and, you know what, I don't have any real world consequences for this. And so I can be, the worst, most awful person ever. They go in those rooms thinking that, and they try to act like that, and you get voted out, and you have to leave the room. You get banned from it. So that's actually a great thing. But it takes a vote from everybody, and so the majority wins, and so it's sort of a democracy of like who gets to stay, that type of thing. So, but as long as you're going in, keeping your values, not being rude, be kind. That's just the number one rule across the board, right? And that should be the same thing in real life. Anyway, off my soap stand. We created the first business networking world in Horizons. Okay, so we started building this model out and designed it on a similar basis of the North Little Rock Chamber, which we visit a lot. We have a few assets to make it feel a little bit more realistic. As you can see, we were able to get the first layer of the building down and some side buildings. We haven't put our boundaries out here yet to keep people from walking off the edge of the earth. But the parking lot has a few vehicles in it. We even made stairs that are able to be walked up to the second level. but we have hit a problem. A wall, some would say, because we are over capacity on objects. This is something I didn't know beforehand. So once you have so many walls, so many objects in your world, you cannot continue to create. I mean, so we're going to have to make some adjustments. But as you can see, this was going to be the start of a fully fleshed out sort of diorama, sort of reconstruction of the chamber itself. And so people would start here, they would walk through, boom, 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 boom. Now I've got to figure out a way to simplify this whole design. Okay, so made quite a few adjustments, as you can see, just to try to accommodate, we can't use too many assets, too many complex geometrical structures, and so had to take some of the vehicles out, had to take some of the buildings out, the scenery that was there. And now I did some reconstructions on the walls on the inside. We're at, let's see, where are we on capacity? So if I go to world and capacity, it'll show me that I'm at 98% geometric complexity right now. So I was a little too ambitious with the size of my world, but I mean, it works out. I mean, it is a large world. And I mean, it works. That's the main part. It works and it's big enough. So this is going to be your starting point. So when every time somebody goes into the world, they're going to spawn right here. Kind of want to make it look like you're getting out of your vehicle as soon as you pop in the world. So let's go ahead and see what it looks like. I'll pop in right there where my spawn point is. So this is what it would be like. You're right outside the purple car. The clock's up there. I mean, this isn't too I mean, like, as much attention as I pay to the details of the buildings around me, this works. You know what I mean? I don't pay attention to how many windows there are, how many, doors are on this side of the building. Ooh, that's a problem. Look at that. Boop. Put some hedges around the outside to keep people from falling off the edge of the earth. If this wasn't there, then you would slide right off into infinity. So I walk into the first hallway. Off to the left is going to be the glass walls. Here's a wide open space over here. I'm not really sure what to use this one for. I know it's normally where the bathrooms would be or the elevator. I kind of opened it up since that's not really necessary in this world. So coming in from the hallway, you go into the lobby, and there are a few areas where people can sort of hang out. So this is more of a relaxed area to be in. Of course, a few rules: make connections, grow your business, treat everyone with respect, keep it legal. Another little seating area with a little tree. We've got a nice little space back here. The only problem with building with such a large area is that it limits you on your assets. Let me set the coffee pot down. How about that? So now I need to put the roof on, which I've had suspended over the top of the building for a while. Now, there you are. Take that. But overall, looks pretty cool, I think. Let's see. Not bad for the first build. I'll eventually put something up on the billboard over there. One thing is you can't bring in your own logos unless your logo is simple enough to build out of geometric shapes, like basic shapes. Okay, and so the way that we did that is we went into the developer tools and we created our own world. And so we had to painstakingly build up this entire. So you start off with a plane, like a flat plane, right? And that's all it is. That's all you have to build with. It's a grid. And then you're taking your assets and taking geometric shapes and trying to build out something that symbolizes, a tree. Here's a parking lot. Here's a building, and here's a glass window, because those things aren't readily available to you. It's not like building in The Sims. You have to be very, very creative in the way that you are creating your world. As far as you only have so many geometric shapes that you can use to build your world, but also you have to be sort of impressionist, because you're not going to get an exact object. You know what I'm saying? So you could probably make something look exactly like it does in the real world, although it'd be digital, such as like I've seen some coffee cups that were looked great. I've seen traffic cones, but then you have other like complex geometric shapes, that just don't seem to work very well. Um, but yeah, we started off with just a flat plane, and we started building this up. We had to have something in mind, so we used, of course, where do we network the most? Well, we use our local chamber of commerce, right? And so I sort of based this off of that. I got too ambitious. I tried to build it out with too much detail, like not only the plane where you can walk around on and the building you can go into in the parking lot, but also I tried to make a boundary, and then outside that boundary have buildings, where it looks like you could see over, see out in the city, where you're looking over the parking lot, the past the point that you can actually access. And you can still see buildings out in the distance. You can see that there's that bank, there's the clock tower, there's this, and there's the bridge, and there's the river. But it turns out that you only have so many objects that you can use in each world. So you're very limited in that too. So it's like handing a painter, some of those little sample size acrylic paints, and be like, okay, you've got a 25-foot by 25-foot canvas, and you got these paints to cover this with. Okay, go. See what you can create. And so that's what we did. So it looks kind of bare bones, not as fleshed out as I would like it to be, although we did try to put some plants in there to try to fill it out a little. But once the people start going in there, like, that will help direct us towards what we need to do in the room in the future, because we can always change the world. We can always grow. We can either shrink down some of the rooms, or take some of the assets away and add in other sections. It all depends on like how people are actually using the rooms. And so what we tried to do was create a building to where you could come in and you could have private meetings either in the lounge, or you can have meetings in the boardroom, but there's also private offices where 2 or 3 people can step in there. The thing about those smaller offices is that when you enter those places, only people who are in that room can hear you, and so nobody's going to hear you through the walls. They may hear, and that's about it. Otherwise, if you're in the lounge and you're talking in the couch area and somebody's standing by the reception desk, they're still going to hear your conversation. And so if you need a private room, the private rooms are there. So we fleshed out this world so that people can come in from all over, hopefully the United States, but I mean, I don't know if we have a whole lot of interest in bringing in anybody international, except to learn from each other, unless, if you do deal with people overseas, or, of course, in Canada or Mexico, or, because there's people from all over the world that are coming in here. If your business does serve those people, then yeah, this would be a great opportunity for you as well. The thing here is how people are going to use it, and so that's something we'll have to just to keep our thumb on. With that being said, is it a good investment for you and your business? I would say absolutely. I mean, the price point where it is, $350, right? So for a full Quest 2 headset, you can get the Pro for a little bit over $1,000. I wouldn't do that right now, because they're going to just continuously upgrade the hardware, because Meta and Oculus, Meta bought Oculus. They're not the only companies that are creating VR. They're just the ones that have made it most accessible to the general consumers. So those are the ones that are going to make it to the most general households first. But there are plenty of other companies that are also developing, but they're learning from Meta how to make their controllers more intuitive, make the way that you travel inside of worlds not make you sick, how to render higher graphics, be freestanding without having to be plugged into an actual PC. So these things will continuously change, and I would say in the next 2 years we'll have a huge upgrade from where we're at right now. But for right now, absolutely, I would say invest in the Meta 2, the Quest 2, and either go into the Horizon worlds. You can use our business networking world, or you can use the workrooms. The workrooms I'll make a separate video on. It is amazing. I hope this helps you or informs you in some way of what virtual reality is doing for business as of right now. Another option is that if you are into creating worlds, you can actually build your own assets as far as taking those geometric shapes I was talking about earlier. Let's say that there's a certain, you want to make an IKEA sofa, right? But you found a way to make those shapes bend and stretch and connect to each other to make an IKEA sofa. And you group all those together and save it as an asset, and then you can sell that on the Horizon store as an asset to other people who are building. So it saves them time, and you make a little bit of money off of that, but it is kind of expensive to get in there. I think that 40% is what you make off of your sell, so I'm not 100% clear on that, but there are plenty of other people who are trying to jump on that. I've actually even seen people who are advertising themselves as digital marketers, in that they'll create marketing inside of their worlds for you. I guess, I don't know, putting your business on a billboard or something. I'm not really sure how that worked, but either way. I hope this video was informative to you, and I would absolutely recommend that you get a Quest 2. Start off with that. Start having some meetings. Get out and engage in the world. Even if nothing else, it's a great tool for your employees to use to develop their soft skills. So being able to get out into the real world and talk to other people, if it's kind of strange and they're like, I don't really like getting out there and put myself, this is a great way to start for that. And it sort of develops, how we interact with each other. So future is here.